Welcome back, young explorers, to this high-energy explainer. I am so pumped you're here today because we are diving headfirst into the epic, ancient battle of Exodus chapter 1. So, grab your gear because we're traveling thousands of years back in time. We're talking giant pyramids, golden sands, and this legendary clash between a mighty empire and an absolutely unstoppable family. Let's get right into it.
Okay, so our story actually starts with a really tiny number, 70. Just 70 descendants of a man named Jacob arrived in this massive, incredibly powerful country where his son Joseph was already living. Now, to put that into perspective, 70 people is basically just 2 or 3 classrooms of kids. In a giant kingdom like Egypt, that is a tiny, tiny group. So, who were these guys? Well, check out this lineup. We've got Reuben, Shimeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Benjamin, Dan, Naftali, Gad, Asher, and Joseph. These are the 12 sons of Israel. They were the original family heads who started what would soon become just a massive, incredible family tree. Definitely remember these names because from this one small seed, an entire nation is about to sprout.
All right, moving right along to section 1. The family grows fast.
As time marches on, Joseph's whole generation eventually passes away. But then something absolutely wild happens. An explosive growth begins. The descendants of Israel were fruitful, they increased abundantly, they multiplied, and they grew very powerful. The land literally became filled with them. Think of them like this glowing, unstoppable force in a superhero show. They started as just 70 people, but now they're everywhere. They're thriving, buzzing with energy, and getting stronger every single day.
Which brings us to section 2, the mean new king. Picture this as an epic versus battle. On one side, we have a brand new Egyptian king rising to power, and he knows absolutely nothing about Joseph's heroic past. Trembling in his giant palace, he looks out at the growing Israelites who are just bursting with life and power. The Pharaoh actually looks at his people and says, "Look, the descendants of Israel have become a people too numerous and powerful for us." And just like that, the stage is set for a massive showdown.
Right, so the king hatches this really sneaky plan. He tells his people, "Come, let's use wisdom in dealing with them. Otherwise, they'll continue to multiply, and in the event of war, they might ally themselves with our enemies, fight against us, and leave the land altogether." I mean, he sounds so cunning, doesn't he? He was literally terrified that if a war broke out, this superpowered massive family would team up with Egypt's enemies and defeat him. He felt like he just had to stop them.
So, what's his big strategy to stop them? Well, he gets incredibly mean. Step by step, he puts these harsh slave masters over the Israelites to just crush their spirits. He forces them into bitter, relentless hard labor. We're talking digging heavy clay, baking thousands of bricks under the scorching sun, doing all kinds of exhausting fieldwork. And finally, forcing them to build massive storage cities for Pharaoh named Pitom and Ramses. It was just a life of endless toil, and they were shown absolutely zero mercy. But here's the crazy part. Did Pharaoh's mean plan actually work? No way. The more the Egyptians oppressed them, the more they multiplied and expanded. You can practically hear the cheer for the Israelites' incredible resilience, right? Pharaoh's sneaky plan completely backfired. Honestly, no matter how heavy the mud was or how hot the sun got, they just kept growing. It made the Egyptians dread them even more because they were literally unstoppable. Let's jump into section 3, the brave hero midwives. Every epic story needs true heroes, and we are about to meet 2 historical superheroes, Shiphrah and Puah. They were Hebrew midwives, which means they were the amazing women who helped mothers when they were having their babies. Well, the furious king of Egypt calls these 2 women into his mighty throne room, and he gives them a terrible, secret command. Listen to this. When you attend the Hebrew women and see them giving birth, if it's a boy, kill him, but if it's a girl, let her live. Pharaoh wanted to completely destroy the Israelites' future by secretly getting rid of all the baby boy. So I've got to ask you guys, what would you do? I mean, really put yourselves in their shoes for a second. The most powerful king in the world just gave you a direct order. If you disobey, you are going to be in massive trouble. Will they listen to the mean king, or will they listen to God and do what is right? Boom! Shiphrah and Puah feared God, so they let the boys live. We absolutely have to celebrate their incredible bravery here. They stood up to the most powerful man in all of Egypt, and they didn't even use swords or shields. They used their supreme courage and the respect for God to protect the innocent babies.
They are true superheroes.
Of course, Pharaoh finds out the boys are still surviving, right? He summons the midwives and angrily demands, "Why have you done this?" But Shiphrah and Puah were just as smart as they were brave. They give him this incredibly clever, fast-thinking excuse. They say, "Oh, well, the Hebrew women aren't like the Egyptian women. They are so strong, they go into labor and give birth before the midwife even arrives." They completely outsmarted him. And that brings us to Section 4, God rewards true courage. Because here's the thing, when you do the right thing, especially when it's scary and dangerous, amazing things can happen. The result here was crystal clear. God prospered the midwives. Because Shiphrah and Puah feared God and risked absolutely everything to save those babies, God protected them and blessed them with their very own families. All the while, the Israelites continued to multiply and grow very, very powerful. That unstoppable force just kept right on going. Let's wrap things up with Section 5, 5 key story superpowers. Okay, young explorers, time to gather your loot. These aren't just morals. These are basically secret superpowers you can take from this explainer and use in your very own life. Ready? Let's power up. Superpower number 1, faithfulness in adversity. Just like the Israelites flourishing it despite the heavy mud and bricks, you can grow strong even when things are super tough. Superpower 2, fear God, not man. Obeying what is truly right, exactly like the midwives who ignored the king's orders. Superpower 3, God's hidden hand. Even when things look totally dark, God is working behind the scenes like a master planner. Superpower 4, protection of the vulnerable. Use your strength to defend the innocent. And finally, superpower 5, courage rewarded. Remember that true bravery in the face of danger always gets honored. You can literally use these incredible lessons every single day. But wait, hold on a second. The story isn't actually over. Pharaoh was so furious that his secret plan failed, he drops a final terrible bombshell. He commands all his people, every boy that is born, throw in the river, but let all the girls live. He just made his evil plan public. The danger has never been higher, setting up the ultimate, thrilling chapter of our Great Escape story. So here's what I want you to think about today. Even when things look their absolute darkest, how will you use your superpowers of courage to stand up for what's right? Shiphrah and Puah stood up to an entire empire, and I know for a fact you have that exact same superhero courage inside of you. Think about how you can be a hero in your own story today. To find out what happens next in this epic adventure, click the bell button, like, share, and subscribe.